everyone, welcome to another episode of the Migrant series. And on this series, we bring in different people who are doing great in their career. We explore their journeys, lessons that they can share to help us navigate in our own journey, whether we're pursuing the same in UK or we're pursuing a career that expands beyond the borders of UK. And today we have someone really special. She's the head of prosecution at the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency right here in UK. And she has a fantastic, I'd like to say, unconventional career journey. And we're going to be delving into it, how she rose up until the point of being the head of prosecution without taking the SQE or without, going through the conventional legal pathways. And that's what we're going to be exploring. Without further ado, let's make welcome Stephanie.
Hi.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I mean, it's such a huge honor to have you on the channel with us today
Oh,
to
you're
learn
kind.
about your journey and to explore how you came from an unconventional pathway and rose up unto the point of being the head of prosecution. So without further ado, do you want to introduce yourself, your
Yeah,
background, and anything you'd like
sure,
us to
sure,
know
sure.
as first?
So my name is Stephanie Ezechukwu. I'm the head of prosecutions, as Vegas just said. So I work for DVSA. DVSA is an acronym for Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency, and we are an agency within the Department for Transport. So if you're familiar with the civil service, not everyone is, but just to kind of explain, the civil service is the arm of civil servants, public servants who work for the public good, they work for the government to help keep the country working. So when you think of the civil service, you're probably thinking of the Home Office, you're thinking of Ministry of Justice, you're thinking of Ministry of Defence, all the big departments that do all the big jobs. Foreign Office, I guess, is quite relevant today, isn't it? But yeah, for me, I work within the Department for Transport, and I've done this job. I guess this is oh my gosh, it's 5 years this year. I was just thinking 5 years this July. So yeah, I've recently come back from maternity leave. I had my first baby. More than a year ago now. So I took like a year off to have my baby, and I've just come back to work full time. And as you mentioned, I had a very unconventional route to my current role in my career. I've also gone back to studying. So I'm a part-time student whilst being a full-time employee and juggling and spinning all the plates that we spin as women and as professionals. It's very interesting. But yeah, I was going to say, I probably need to mention it. I'm wearing my glasses and have my whole face like this because it's been a very long night. Those who have babies who might be watching and understand, it's sometimes quite difficult. So we had a rough night last night. So yeah, sorry if I'm a bit together, but yeah, we're good. It's so good to be on as well. I know I've been looking forward to this day for a while. So yes,
Oh,
speaking to you
thank
very
you
much.
so much. And that's really impressive to hear because I don't think anyone really grasps, what you just said because it's a lot to unpack, it's a lot to juggle,
Mhm.
it's a lot to balance and it's a lot to handle. So big ups to you for doing it so well and doing it so beautifully well at the same time. So first question, we're just going to jump right into it. How did you
Yeah.
know you were going to end up in public prosecution or the public space? Because I looked through your career trajectory and most of your career has been spent in public service and in that
Yeah.
space. How did you end up in that space?
It's so weird to say, like, because I don't think I ever thought I'd end up here. Like, I'm a grade seven. Grade seven's like a senior leader within the organization, within the department. So I wasn't planning on getting to this point. I don't think I was ever thinking about it. But how I got here is that I read law at Sussex University down in Brighton. Big up Sussex. I also did a master's in law at Sussex. My focus was criminal law and criminal justice. So in my head, I was always going to go down the criminal law or some sort of like crime, criminal justice, something to do with crime and justice. I've always been very passionate about that. And when I finished my master's, I was working in a call center. I've said this a few times on my LinkedIn. I've worked in a call center. I just did charity fundraising part-time to like make a bit of money up in North London where I used to work. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get a job. Like nothing seems to be working. I'd apply for schemes and I apply for trainee roles and nothing was working. Paralegal positions, nothing. Like I remember applying, like going to work, just being so, when you wake up and you're dreading going into the office. Listen, some people know what I mean. They can't say it, but it's true. You're just thinking, oh my gosh, I hate this job so much. But I had to kind of just do it because I had to pay my bills. But I applied for a job in civil service. How I knew about it, I can't even tell you. But I just applied for like a job just to start, like an admin job. Like, I think it was paying like 18 or 19,000 pounds just to go. And to be honest, I thought, well, I'm overqualified. You know, I have a law degree. I have 2 law degrees. I'm more than qualified. Listen, I didn't get the first job I applied for. I didn't even get the second job I applied for. Like, it took me like a good couple of months to even be called for an interview. And that's what really frustrated me. So it wasn't anything I planned to do. I was looking for jobs. No jobs were going. And maybe, to be fair, I wasn't applying very, I wasn't doing my applications very well. You know, I didn't have any advisors. I didn't have anyone like checking me to help me understand, like, oh, write this, don't put this. So it was kind of like a haphazard approach. But I did apply for a job as a court clerk or court administrator, whatever they used to call it, admin officer in a county court, a local county court to me. And I ended up getting the job. And I started some point in, I think, March 2014. And at that point, you know, I just graduated. I was like, oh, thank God. And that's how I began. And that was my first job. Like I said, very like low position, you know, very junior position, I'll call it. Working in a court. My job was to just open the court documents, scan it on, log it on the computer, write court documents, seal it with the court seal. If you've ever had a court document come to you, you know, there's a nice court seal with a crown. That was my job, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like going to court every day, you know, I was able to like dress up and wear my smart clothing, wear my blazers, wear my dresses, wear my little high heels. I felt good about myself. And I think also being in a space where I was surrounded by judges, surrounded by barristers, surrounded by solicitors. And being me, you know, I was young. I mean, I've always been quite a talkative young lady, always quite a confident person. So I'd be clerking the judge in court, and I'd speak to the judge, you know, after the court hearing, find out what was going on, what he or she was thinking about. I'd often speak to solicitors, ask them, oh, what firm are you from? Okay, I was nosy. And, you know, my husband always says something, you know, what's the worst someone can say? It's no. So me, I'd ask them questions. And just for me being a bit chatty, a bit bold, you know, people say now audacious. I had people invite me for like networking events, so many cards. Some people said, oh, here's my card if you ever want to talk more. And I took them up on those offers. You know, I went for like, I wouldn't say after work dinners, but, you know, I'd have like catch-ups with them, coffee catch-ups, different barrister solicitors who were just happy to help, curious to find out, oh, so you have a law degree, oh, you have a master's, what next? Are you going to do the LPC? We do the BPTC, like BPTC at the time. All these avenues. And obviously the judges there also, I took a keen interest in learning their stories, how they got to where they are. These are the most senior people in the court. You know, they have very beautiful careers, very long, distinguished careers. I was curious, how did you get there? They didn't all come from silver spoons. You know, some of them came from very different backgrounds to where they were currently. So I was always listening, always learning. And yeah, in terms of my beginning, that's what formed me. I started in a very junior position. I worked really hard, and I made myself so weird. I was out there. I made myself, people call it visibility now. And I like the word visibility, but I think it's been overused a lot. I think I worked really well.
I love that you speak about audacity. What I'm hearing is audacity. I'm hearing
Mhm.
curiosity as well, and lots of
Yeah,
enthusiasm, visible
yeah.
enthusiasm that is palpable, that people who meet
Oh,
you, they
yeah,
know from the onset, this is what Stephanie is about, you know. And I think that's so powerful. And even though it's also nice to see that you weren't doing it consciously, and you know, it was just
mm,
something you were that was
yeah,
natural to you. That's so beautiful, to be honest. And just on the back of that, did you ever feel the pressure to, you know, go through the traditional routes? I understand it was hard to get a job, you mentioned at first, but did you feel
yeah.
that pressure to go through,
Oh,
you know, the traditional
absolutely. Like,
path?
come on, listen, I'm a Nigerian girl. I'm a daughter of Nigerian parents. Went to university. Like, I was the first person in my family to graduate from university. So I knew I had a lot on these shoulders. And naturally, I would have loved. And to be honest, I think it's so weird. You don't call it a regret, but I think one of the mistakes I made at university was not really understanding the pathway to qualification. Like, I grew up in Northwest London, a borough called Brent. You know, it's quite, I won't say rough, but like we didn't grow up with much, you know what I mean? We didn't have much going when we were growing up, but we worked really hard. I worked really hard. We were very academic in terms of like applying ourselves to school and university. But I think I wasn't really understanding how intense the competition would have been going to university. I think maybe quite naively, if I'm being honest, I thought a degree would be enough. I thought
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to just apply with my degree, I'd be fine. No, honey, it's not fine. You have to set yourself apart. And that's one of the things I learned in my master's. doing the masters for me I was curious about criminal law, but also I want to set myself apart. And it also allowed me a year to gain more experience. But in terms of where I started, I always thought, oh, I don't mind. I couldn't tell you if I wanted to be a solicitor or barrister because I didn't know what either role would entail. I didn't know what the practical day to day, what would it feel like to be one or the other. And again, unfortunately for me, I didn't have anyone in my life who was doing that job. So I couldn't just ask my dad or my mom, my uncle or my auntie, what's life? No, we didn't have access to that. So it was a challenge. And I guess they're very different to how things are today. Very different. The accessibility of careers of people today is, oh my gosh, you can ask anyone anything, and you can't ask somebody. Go and ask ChatGPT. Go and ask Claude. Like,
Yeah.
you can ask AI, and AI will tell you based on what it knows from the internet. So back when I was doing that, it was like what, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, there was none of that. So you literally had to do it based on who you knew or who you could find. And yeah, I think for me, I did think about doing the LPC, but again, I couldn't have the funding, and not having money was a big barrier. And I think a lot of people, depending on how you grew up, obviously everyone grew up differently. I come from a working class background. I grew up in quite a deprived area. We didn't have much, but like I said, things were tough. So financially, it was never a financial option for me to spend what was at the time, oh my gosh, maybe it was like 14 or 13,000 pounds for the LPC or the BPTC at the time, which is now the BTC or BPC, where you, depending on where you study. It was too much money. That money plus the additional cost of just living while you're studying full time would have been impossible. And I wasn't contemplating at the time part-time studying, so I just thought I just need to work to make money. So as much as I would have loved a career going into the LPC or going into the BPTC, I couldn't fund it. And yeah, like I said, when I applied for training contracts with firms, again, very haphazard approach, I think I had when I was quite young, I was rejected from everything. Like, nobody was offering me the role, the training position. So I figured out, Stephanie, if you're going to go back to law school, you have to do it yourself. Yeah, you have to work first and go there later. And it was disappointing because I was like, oh, everyone else is going. Like, I feel like everyone else is getting ahead and I'm here behind in a call center job, or even the court job. To be honest, I never felt behind because I felt like, you know what, I'm going somewhere. And I always had in mind my plan, which is this is a temporary place. Like, I'm not looking for a job just for a job's sake, but I know I'm on a trajectory path. I'm going somewhere. It's going to lead to somewhere. So it's all in due course. I'm a big believer of timing and seasons and doing things in the right time and in the right season. So I was patient, if I can be honest with you. As much as I felt the pressure, I was very patient with myself.
I get that. It's so important to be, graceful with yourself, patient with your growth as well.
Yeah.
So then over the years, you've now progressed. So what would you say helped you build that credibility that you would have gained from a traditional path? Because I hear that a lot. A lot of people say now they're trying to break into the legal markets, but then
Yeah.
everyone is saying you didn't do a training contract, you didn't come through the traditional route. So how were you able to build that credibility without the traditional route?
Yeah, so I'll break it into two things. So one, I'll talk about the experiences I learned over the past, I think now 10 or 12 years working in the civil service. And then I'll talk about why the SQE is making it a bit easier for me. I mean, everyone's story is different, but for me anyway. So for me, in terms of experience and building experience, this all started when I did my master's. So I did my law degree, graduated from Sussex, stayed on, did a master's. Doing my master's, I was commuting from London to Brighton, Sussex every week for my seminars, for my not lectures, seminars basically, every week. And in the times when I wasn't studying, I was gaining experience. And how did I do that? I did it I wasn't working, obviously, I was just full-time studying and then just doing experience. I did work placements. Back then, you could walk into a law firm with a CV and actually give them your CV and be considered. So twice I did that. Twice I got some experience just from doing that. So that's one. Literally walking into law firms with my CV, and I was able to do what we call vacation schemes, work experience with a solicitor. High street firms, nothing too big, but because I was able to go to firms and places, I got experience just from doing that. That was one. Number two, which people often do overlook, going to court, just going and sitting in court hearings. It's open to the public. Many courtrooms are, some aren't because they're sensitive or they're family proceedings, but going to court and just sitting in a hearing, it does help your understanding of how court advocacy works, what the court system looks like, who is who in terms of roles, responsibilities, duties. That was massive. So I used to do that as well. Second thing. Third thing, applying to support or get experience with organizations that are set up to help people like you. For example, I was working, or I applied to work with the Free Representation Unit, which is called FRU. So if you search it, Google it, you'll hear them. They offer advocacy experience for people who are just in that position. And they do, I think it was that time, social security and employment law cases before the tribunal. Very, very easy. All you have to do is apply, pay, I think, a fee or something, and you have to just do some training with them, and then you can go and start taking some cases within the first year. Fantastic experience. Another one, charities that are set up to help people who are like me, from my kind of background, in terms of, whether it's impoverished, whether it's low income background, we now call it, those sort of things that help with gaining experience, widening participation, making the law more accessible. I was looking at urban lawyers. So I started working with them. Fantastic organization, led by Tunde. So something like that. Look at charities, look at places that can help you. The other one I did, which is academic actually, I did a research project with my actual professor. So he had a hate crime institute that he was setting up in Brighton, and I worked with him to do the research, to help organize a conference. He was doing loads of things. Again, he wasn't paying me, but it helped me get that experience. So these are now 4 or 5 things I've named that I did while I was studying just to gain experience. Everyone's situation will be different, but I think if you're in a position where you're like, I have to do something to set myself apart, what can you do? Go and ask people. Have no shame. That's one thing I don't have shame. You have to be so bold. That word audacious is very true. You have to not be ashamed. Don't let anyone make you feel ashamed. Don't let anyone make you feel like you can't ask. The worst they're going to tell you is a no. I did the things that I was allowed to do by going to court. No one gave me permission. I just was allowed to go, and I went. Didn't cost me anything. I just went. It was a free thing. I did the things that put me out of my comfort zone. Talking to my professor, going to law firms. And I did the things that were actually interesting to me, the through urban lawyers. So just look at, again, it's never been more easier than today to gain these insights and find ways, things that are relevant to you and where you're trying to go. Ask someone on LinkedIn. There's so many people. And one thing I'll say, as someone who has been growing her LinkedIn, and thank God has a lot of people who, like you said, are coming up and trying to set themselves up and gain experience. I can't offer people experience where I work because of the work I do and what I'm doing, but I'm always giving advice and telling people, listen, where to begin? Go here, go here, go here. And sometimes I tell people who are studying, have you even gone to your careers department? Have you gone to your team? Have you even asked? Because there's careers tutors right there who will give you CV reviews, advice, interview practice, all for free. And they give it to you while you're studying, and they give it to you after you graduate. I think most universities for a couple of years. Ask them, get it. I think it's so important that people start doing that. Do it for yourself. Do your own research. Look for yourself. Because honestly, that's how I started. I used to tell one of my mentors, people love talking about themselves. So if you ask someone, oh, please, do you mind telling me how you got to where you are? I like to get there. What's your pathway been? Blah, blah, blah. Don't put pressure on them. They'll come back and tell you one long story. People love talking about themselves. Just to say, oh, favor, if it's no bother, I'd love to do a coffee catch up, at your own time, when you're free. No pressure if you can't do it. You'd be shocked. Some people will ignore you. Listen, it's life. No one owes you a response. If you know this is the career you want to go down, is this the path you want to do, you will get there. I'm a big, big advocate of believing in yourself, being shameless in asking the question and applying for things and taking chances on yourself. But also, don't be deterred. Don't allow someone's words, don't allow other people's discouragement stop you. Keep applying, keep upskilling yourself, keep putting yourself forward, keep building a network, keep widening your sphere of people that you can connect with. It's really important. I know it can feel quite, it's a lot to ask, but unfortunately, unless you have the network already in existence, you have to create a network. Thank God today, there are people who are ahead of us who have already built the networks for you that you can even rely upon. A lot of them are charities, a lot of them organizations, not for profit. In fact, there's a number, there's so many good ones. Apply to, be supported by, who offer you free support, ain't got to pay for it, all free. So yeah, just look into that. Don't be discouraged. Do not be. I've been discouraged in my life. Never again. Don't be discouraged. We will get there if we keep going. Honestly, we will. there's space.
Wow. Well, that's super helpful. And I love how you've tailored how you build credibility and also given the advice to how we can also, build credibility. And what I'm just getting from that is just keep going, just keep
Yeah,
pushing yourself. You're gonna
absolutely.
get no's, you're gonna get some rejections, but then you're also gonna get positive responses, but
Yes.
you wouldn't know if you don't keep trying. So
Absolutely. No's are normal, Favor. Like
mm.
no's are normal.
And just to put it out there, Stephanie, if you're not following or a connection to Stephanie on LinkedIn, you should, because you're missing out on so many good tips, so many career options. You're also missing out on so many job vacancies that are posted from time to time. Like she said, you just have to click the link. And then speaking about LinkedIn, I see that you're really vocal about well-being and your experience as a new mom. So
Yeah.
how has it been, navigating and balancing leadership, career growth, and your personal life? You just talked about,
Ooh,
having a long
yeah.
night. So how has
Oh,
all of
girl.
that
Yeah.
been?
These eye bags are so real. So I think with LinkedIn, I like to organize and schedule everything. So before I had my baby, oh my gosh, I think I scheduled like 3 months worth of content because I know the first 3 months of a baby's life are quite intense. They call it the newborn stage. So when I went off on maternity, I went off a month earlier. I basically scheduled all my posts for like 3 months, basically as far as I could go with the LinkedIn scheduling. And I had all my posts ready, post, picture, everything. And I had it ready. I remember because I was going into labor and I was going into labor and my post was going live. So people don't need to know where you are, what you're doing. Like your
Yeah.
post can be there ready. And that's what really helped me because I post things and just ideas, thoughts, things about being pregnant, things about traveling when my son obviously came, traveling with a baby on the train. Um, I've posted so many random things about my job, my career, how I made it from, being a very junior person to a very senior person now. One thing about, how I was rejected so many times from LinkedIn, this easy apply or whatever they call it. So many times I was applying, not one, call back. And I think I did a post about that, saying how I've been rejected so many times. And I think it was from that I noticed people are really engaging with my stuff, like a lot of reactions, a lot of comments, a lot of reshares, which is quite interesting. There was nothing special about me. I didn't have 101 good things going for me. I've also been in a very low, down, dark place. And I thank God for my faith, number one, which has always gotten me through so many difficulties. Most important thing about me is always my faith in Jesus Christ. Number two, I thank God for my husband, who's been very supportive of me, very patient with me while I've been going through my, let's say, hormonal imbalance that motherhood brings about. But to be honest, also me, like I have also allowed myself to be helped by different people in my life. I will never say I've done it on my own. Never. Like I've been the recipient of so many people's kindness, and in as much as I can, I want to pay that and share that forward.
That's also one of the ways I found you as well, just being inspiring and putting that content out there. And I also see now you've been able to balance by putting all that, placing, scheduling and just
Oh yeah,
balancing all the different
yeah,
aspects of your life. As I start to bring this to a close, one question I'd also love to ask is, what's that one hack that you can give to someone who is also in that box right now, trying to go on the traditional path, but that's not calling. And then there's the unconventional route. What's that one hack that you would give them to say, this is one thing I know that worked for me, and now I'm the head of Prosecution, so you can see it
yeah.
clearly works.
I think number one, stick to your plan. Like if you have a plan that you want to qualify as a solicitor or as a barrister or whatever your profession is, stick to it. Have that in mind. But just remember the steps in between can be 5 or 15. Like it doesn't have to be 10 steps. It doesn't have to be 3 steps. It can change. So kind of stick to your plan, but be open to changing. Like my plan to qualify as solicitor has always been my plan, but how I got there has had to change. So I want to say have your plan, but be flexible, if that makes sense. What has helped me has been having an open mind with how I gain experience. And I say that because over the course of my 12-year career or however long it's been in the civil service, I've worked for Ministry of Justice, I've worked for the Home Office, I've worked for Department for Transport now, and I've done work across immigration law, hate crime, domestic abuse, civil litigation, some chancery work. Now I'm doing transport law. 5 or 6 different areas of law, very, very different. But within that, I've gained a lot of experience going to court, making representations, doing cross-examination, writing up submissions, writing up, all sorts because of the jobs I've done. I've even worked on legislation and policy. So have an open mind about where you can gain your experience. Again, I go back to it. Go and do some research. Look at the different ways you can find experience in-house. with other companies, not just firms, law firms, something like Flex Legal. If you go and look at them on LinkedIn, fantastic organization offering that qualifying work experience that is required for the SQE. But going to the SQE and things that have helped me, I always thought I'd have to get the money to do this and do that. Look for funding options. Like, I'm not suggesting, everyone's circumstance is different. If your employer can pay for your qualification, get that as an option. Go and do some research. Go and see who's offering that when you're applying. Also, look at scholarships, look at other grants. There is still money available for things like this. Go and look at it. People often think, do I have to borrow the money? Not everyone has to borrow the money. Some of you can do it in different ways. For me, the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but I should mention this. One of the ways I've been able to get my qualification, the SQE qualification, which I'm currently studying, is through an apprenticeship. Now, I didn't think apprenticeships were open to people like me, but guess what? My employer is very good at offering apprenticeships across the business. And again, I was able to find this course for myself, research it, look at the requirements. I had to sit an exam before the course to make sure I was even ready to sit the actual program. So look around, do some research. Like, I'm now in my second year of the SQE. Obviously, I took a year gap, a break in learning. I've just finished my last exam on Monday for my modules. Hey, so now I'm doing my SQE by God's grace next year, and I'm deep in revision mode. It is intense, but it is so worthwhile. So if I can help anyone with advice, please do the research, be open-minded, but stick to your plan. Just know if you keep pushing, you'll get there. Don't quit, please. The worst thing you can do is quit on yourself and on your dream. So keep pushing.
Wow, so helpful and so timely as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie. This has been such an insightful session. I've learned so much,
Oh,
sticking to the plan, being flexible. It doesn't have to be 3 steps, it could be 15 steps, it could be 10 steps, it could be 20 steps. Just stick to the plan and have an
yeah.
open mind. And I think also just apply yourself. So helpful. I'm wishing you all the best in your SQE when the time comes, and hopefully we get to see that post one day, that you've now qualified, and that would be so nice to see.
Yeah.
This has been an insightful session, and thank you once again for coming. So thank you.